In Chapter 8 of Half-Life Alyx, if you take a right after entering the zoo, you can see two NPC turrets on the other side of this door. These turrets were an important gameplay element in Half-Life 2, where you would have to use grenades or physics objects to knock them over, and in some parts of the game, you could even use these turrets against your enemies. But in Half-Life Alyx, we only get to see these turrets just this one time through this window. They're just something for the player to look at, and the developers never intended for the player to reach this area. But that doesn't mean we can't, we'll just have to find another way to get there. Later in this level, you can find this yellow barrel on the ground, and if you take it with you, you can use it to get over to the turrets. All you have to do is place it next to this fence, and then get on top of the barrel and do a series of teleports to get onto this overpass, and then you can go straight to the turrets. Once you can see them up close, the turrets look really weird in VR, and that's because they're still using the same low poly model from Half-Life 2. Low quality textures and models really stick out in a VR game, especially in Half-Life Alyx, where everything else is way more detailed by comparison. For some reason, when you knock one of the turrets over, they have this really weird death animation. And the physics are really glitchy with these turrets. If you stand too close to one, sometimes it just launches into the air. And if you try to pick one up and walk around with it, it'll start causing glitches with the player movement. These glitches don't normally happen when you're holding a physics object, but the turrets aren't just physics objects, they're also NPCs, so I think the game is a bit confused on how to handle the collision with the player. Some NPCs, like the antlion and zombie, will try to knock over the turret, just like in Half-Life 2. And the turret will shoot at certain NPCs, but it doesn't do any damage to the NPCs, or to the player, or to glass. The bullets just go straight through glass for some reason. The only NPCs that the turret can kill are NPCs with a specific weak spot, like the armored head crab. Oh, and I also tried feeding one to a barnacle, but he didn't want it. So then I tried spawning in a bunch of NPCs to see which ones the turret would shoot at. For some reason, the turret will target some NPCs that didn't exist in Half-Life 2. I don't really know how the NPCs are programmed in this game, but either the turret was already programmed from Half-Life 2 to shoot at this type of NPC, or it was specifically programmed in Half-Life Alyx to shoot at these specific NPCs. And if it's the latter, that makes me wonder if maybe there was some cut content where the player was supposed to use these turrets against these NPCs. And now for the most obvious question. Can you take the turret all the way to the vault? I'm actually still working on this, and I'm gonna make it into a separate video, so subscribe if you want to find out.